What's up, everybody? It's Sean here, and welcome to episode 5 of the Channel 8 podcast. Let's kick off this week's episode with my sneaker pickups of the week. So the first shoe I got was the New Balance 991 20th anniversary. So a big shout out to Courtside Sneakers for this pair. These aren't anything flashy or anything like that, but as we know, New Balances and gray, they pretty much go perfectly together. So this pair celebrates the 20th anniversary of the 991 silhouette. It's a made in UK pair, so I expect the quality to be amazing, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. I also picked up the Air Max 1 Premium in the white and obsidian colorway. So I picked these up online at Capsule. They pretty much sold out right away, but I was lucky enough to check out my size. So this is that all leather pair. It's your classic Air Max 1 color blocking with that white, gray, and then this navy blue or obsidian. And even though I'm not normally huge on all leather Air Max 1s, the quality on this series has been just amazing, so I had to pick this one up too. Another pair I got was the Air Force 1 Craft in the Summit White and Vast Gray colorway. So for this pair, I gotta give a shout out over to Net Magnetism. I won one of the mystery boxes for the Trophy Room Air Jordan 1 raffle, and even though it's not the grand prize, I honestly can't complain at all about these Air Forces. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, this is the tumbled leather Air Force 1, and it's super good quality, and on the heel it has that patch of suede. So I actually threw up a review on my YouTube channel, so if you guys haven't seen that, be sure to check that out. Anyways, these Air Force 1s, the quality is just ridiculous. I was super impressed, and this is up there as one of the best Net Mag random box Ws that I've gotten in a long time. And the last pair I picked up, which I haven't actually received in hand yet, is the ready-made Blazer Mids in the white colorway. So I'm still on the fence about how I feel about these. Honestly, when I first saw images of the shoe, it wasn't like an instant love. It wasn't one of those shoes where I said, I need to absolutely have this at all costs. But I just took my chances on Livestock's website this was yesterday actually, yesterday morning, and it's always good practice to just try and pick up these limited shoes, and I was actually able to check out my size in the white colorway. So I know Travis Scott wore the black one, and I think that one's going for a bit more money on the secondary market, but I usually prefer white shoes, and that's the one that I was drawn to more. So I'll see how I feel about them when I get them in hand. Hopefully they get delivered in the next couple days or so. So as for what I've been wearing on feet this week, so again, it was a pretty light week. I started off the week wearing the pair of Adidas Ultra Boost 21s that was sent to me from Adidas Canada. And this is just for casual wear. I didn't actually run in them, but overall, it was a very comfortable shoe. It felt a little bit heavier than past Ultra Boost. I think you can attribute that to the fact that there is more boost in the sneaker, but it was barely noticeable. Overall, super comfy, and I'm looking forward to the future colorways they put out. After that, I also wore the New Balance 998, and I don't know if there's a nickname for this shoe, but the style code is M998AWB. So I threw up a picture on this on my Instagram account. It has that teal colored suede on the back, gray in the middle, and like a light orange on the front. And it's just a very solid quality pair. The 998s, even though they used to be one of the more popular New Balance models, it feels like in recent times they've kind of been put on the back burner. We see a lot more love shown for models like the 992, the 991, and then newer stuff like the 2002R as well. But to me, at least, the 998 is like a forever classic, and it's always going to be up there in terms of New Balance silhouettes. I also decided to wear my Travis Scott Air Jordan 4s. I actually didn't take a picture of these shoes this time. I just decided to wear them. I was looking through my stacks, and I figured it's been a while since I wore these, and I'm not going to lie, it felt pretty good. I just have so many shoes in my collection that sometimes a lot of like high heat pairs, they're just left sitting there. So I'm really trying to make that effort to dig through like the bottom of my stacks and just take them out for a spin once in a while. And then the last pair I wore this week was the Nike SB Zoom Blazer Mid in the white and Team Royal color. So this is one of those GR Nike SB releases. There's like no hype surrounding it. I just thought that it's a really clean colorway. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, this is an SB Blazer model. The upper is constructed out of suede in sort of like an off-white color. It has the white sole, the white laces, and then there's the accent of blue on the swoosh and the Nike branding on the back. So I really like this pair for some reason. It kind of gives off like a really retro vibe to the shoe. I don't know why, but it sort of reminds me of the vibes of like a Nike Cortez. And I'm pretty sure you can probably find these on sale at your local skate shop or somewhere like that. So now we get into the main meat and potatoes of today's episode, and today I want to give you guys my ranking of the Air Jordan models from 1 to 23. So why did I stop at 23? Well, the reason for that is because after the Air Jordan 23, they switched it up to Air Jordan 2009, Air Jordan 2010, And in my personal opinion, at least, those models have never really lived up to all the 23 pairs that came before it. And before I begin this list, just want to clarify that this is just my personal opinion. Obviously, you guys are going to disagree and feel free to do so. But my rankings on these shoes are based off of various reasons like the look of the shoe, the how comfortable they are, for example, the nostalgia factor, and even things like what Michael Jordan did and what he accomplished in those shoes definitely has a play in my rankings. So at the bottom of my list, I have the Air Jordan 15. The Air Jordan 15 released in 1999, and it was the shoe that was released after Michael Jordan's retirement from the Chicago Bulls. I gotta give kudos to Tinker Hatfield on this though. This is definitely not a safe design, and he didn't play it safe at all. Unfortunately, I just never liked the look of it. The fact that it kind of looks like an elf boot is just ugly to me. And also, this was a shoe that dropped following Michael Jordan's Bulls retirement. I've always kind of felt like it never really mattered too much. And honestly, my quintessential Jordan models are the 1 to 14. Coming in at number 22, I have the Air Jordan 19. The Air Jordan 19, again, is just one of those strange looking shoes. It released in 2004 at a time where I really wasn't into shoes yet, and there's just something about the look of that shroud or that veil that sits on top of the laces. To me, I always thought it looked a bit strange. Also, the fact that I don't think Michael Jordan ever wore the 19s in an NBA game before, so that also doesn't help it either. Moving down, we have the Air Jordan 22. So I'll admit, when they dropped in 2007, this was a pair that I actually picked up. Looking back on it though, the Air Jordan 22, it's not the best looking silhouette. A part of me appreciates it because of the nostalgia factor. This is around the early days when I first started buying sneakers. But I feel like the other Air Jordans on this list are definitely better looking than this one. Coming in at number 20 on my list, this might be a bit of a controversial pick, but I have the Air Jordan 17. So around this time was when I really started noticing sneakers, because it marked the time frame when Michael Jordan returned to the NBA as a Washington Wizard. I remember all the hype and the craziness surrounding it because they came with the metal suitcase and the CD and all that stuff. But I also remember how expensive they were at the time. And even from a design standpoint, it just really wasn't my favorite look. That's not to say like it's ugly or anything like that, but to me I didn't have that wow factor that a lot of the previous Air Jordans gave me. Next up at number 19, I have on my list the Air Jordan 20. So the thing that's always bugged me about the Air Jordan 20 is that floating heel strap. I feel like if Tinker Hatfield had somehow redesigned it to make it much more of a one-piece look, the 20s actually would have been so nice. So even right now, I have a picture of the Jordan 20s on my computer screen, and I'm literally holding my hand over that strap, and the shoe just looks beautiful. But when I take off my hand and I can see that awkward strap, something about it is just off. But the Jordan 20s were released during a time when, again, I was really getting involved into shoes. And I remember all the advertisements around it. And though I actually never owned a pair of the Jordan 20, it's just one of those models that I've always kind of appreciated from afar. And it still looks pretty dope today, even though it's been 15 plus years later. So next up on my list, this is definitely going to get some people angry. I have the Air Jordan 9. Of all the shoes that released during Michael Jordan's time as a Chicago Bull, the Air Jordan 9 has easily been the one that's been my least favorite. So these released back in 1993, but it came during a time when Michael Jordan first retired from basketball and he was trying his luck in baseball. So I don't know how much of it is because of the fact that MJ was retired at the time, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Jordan ever wore the Jordan 9s as a Chicago Bull. It wasn't until he was a Washington Wizard that he wore the cool gray 9s, so I'm not 100% sure on that. If you guys know, let me know if I'm wrong. So all those factors, plus the fact I don't really love the look of the Jordan 9. To me, it's always kind of reminded me of a hiking boot, and the fact that the olive 9s were one of the OG colorways doesn't help it at all either. Moving on, we have the Air Jordan 16. So the Air Jordan 16 is known as being the first shoe designed by someone other than Tinker Hatfield after a long streak. So these dropped, I believe, in 2001, I think. And there's just something about the design. Even though it has that lace shroud on top, sort of like the Air Jordan 19, for some reason I think the look of that shroud just looks much better. So even if you have the shroud on or off, I personally think the Jordan 16 looks really nice. And that OG colorway in black and red, it almost has a bit of a Jordan 11 vibe to it with the patent leather toe box. Next up on my list, I have the Air Jordan 18. So the Air Jordan 18 was the model that Jordan wore in his final season as a Washington Wizard. From a design standpoint, honestly, they look super nice. And I was fortunate enough to pick up the retro version of the black and blue colorway that dropped a couple years back. I still remember how the originals came with all those extras like the towel, the brush, all that stuff. It was a really nice presentation. And to me, this really reminded me of like classic Air Jordans where it was like the pinnacle in performance, but it also looks super dope and super premium too. So the next shoe on my list is the Air Jordan 21. And I know this is probably way higher than most of you guys have on your list, but the Air Jordan 21 is really special to me because this was a shoe that really kickstarted my collection. So I believe these dropped back in 2006, and I know it was super expensive at the time, but it was the first Air Jordan shoe that my mom had ever bought me. You know, growing up in our household and how we were raised, we were never given like those top of the line Nikes or Jordans. We always had to pick like an affordable pair of shoes from the flyers. But I don't remember if it was for my birthday or Christmas or something like that, but my mom finally decided to buy me a pair of Jordans in that year. So I remember when I first laid eyes on the Jordan 21, it was love at first sight. I remember how it looked and it felt so premium, and it had those interchangeable pods for the heels, which I thought was super, super cool. And I'm hoping that Jordan Brand decides to retro that original white and black colorway, and whenever they do, I'm definitely going to be picking up a pair. Coming in at number 14, we have the Air Jordan 23. So the Air Jordan 23, when it was unveiled, was a pretty big deal. These were designed by Tinker Hatfield again, and being the 23rd signature shoe for Michael Jordan, this pair was all about MJ. From the MJ embroidery on the side to the thumbprint that was on the tongue and on the sole, these were another crazy release. And when they dropped, I was all on board on the silhouette. I picked up the original titanium colorway, and I tried to pick up as many of the GR colorways as I could. It's been 13 years since they originally dropped, and I'm hoping that Jordan Brand brings back some of those original colorways again. Specifically, the Black Stealth colorway is going to be a must. Coming in at number 13, we have the Air Jordan 8. The Jordan 8 has so much importance in Michael Jordan's history, as case in point, they were the shoe that he was wearing when he won his third consecutive NBA championship. And I think to me, the Jordan 8 just looks much better on a shelf and even on other people than it does on myself. I guess there's something about the fact that there's so many straps all over the shoe. It's never really been a shoe I've considered to be easy to wear and take off. And my personal style, I'm much more of a low-key, simple sort of person. So A, it's so much trouble getting my feet into a pair of Jordan 8s, and B, if I decide to leave the flaps unstrapped, it just looks a bit awkward on me just flapping around. Next up on my list, we have the Air Jordan 7. Again, this might be another unpopular opinion, but the Jordan 7 has just not really been a shoe that spoke to me. It's definitely a shoe I appreciate from afar, and again, just like the Jordan 8s, there's so much cultural significance to it, and Michael Jordan did so much wearing the Jordan 7s, like winning his second NBA championship and winning the '92 Olympics as a Dream Team member. All those things were worn wearing the Jordan 7, and while its design looks good, I just never really felt I could pull off a Jordan 7. Moving on to number 11 on my list, so now it starts getting pretty tough. A lot of these shoes, I really like a lot of them. The differences between some of these shoes sometimes are so close, so it's really hard picking one over the other. But I'm gonna go with the Air Jordan 10. So the Air Jordan 10 again released when Michael Jordan was still retired from basketball, but he did wear it briefly when he made his return. And overall, it's not the most eye-catching design out there, but it's still a pretty solid and nice looking Jordan. There's been a handful of really dope colorways over the years. Some of my favorites like the Steel 10, the Chicago 10s, and even more recently with the OVO 10s. Unfortunately, it just misses the mark on the top 10 list by a hair. So coming in at number 10, I'm going to go with the Air Jordan 14. So the Air Jordan 14 is famously known as being the shoe that Michael Jordan was wearing when he hit the final game-winning shot to win his 6th NBA championship as a Chicago Bull. I distinctly remember this time. I was still a kid, but already I was a huge fan of Michael Jordan, and my entire family was watching the game in our basement. So for that incredible moment alone, having experienced that firsthand, that really pushes the Air Jordan 14 up my list. Specifically, I really like the Last Shot 14s and the white and red 14s. And another reason why I really like the model is I wore Jordan 14s for a good number of years to play ball in during university. Next up at number 9, I'm going to go with the Air Jordan 13. The Jordan 13 is another shoe that Michael Jordan wore during his final season as a Chicago Bull. And over the years, there's been so many really dope colorways of the Jordan 13, with my personal favorite being the black and red colorway. But even non-Chicago Bulls type colorways like the Flint 13s, for example, those ones are really, really nice as well. And with Zoom Air cushioning, the Jordan 13s are super comfortable too. Moving down my list to number 8, I'm going to go with the Air Jordan 6. The Jordan 6 is so important because this was the shoe Michael Jordan wore en route to his very first NBA championship. And there's been so many legendary colors like the black infrared, the white infrared, the carmine, the list goes on and on. And the only reason why this one falls a few places on my list is A, because that super tall tongue and the lace lock, I find that a bit awkward and I can't really pull that off that well. And secondly, I find that the Air Jordan 6 just isn't that comfortable. Of all the older Air Jordan retros, for some reason I've always felt like the Jordan 6 feels the most stiff on feet. So for those reasons, it kind of brings that shoe down a few notches. Moving on, we have the Air Jordan 5. I know the Air Jordan 5 is super popular, and I agree, it's definitely one of the most iconic Air Jordan models of all time. There's been so many incredible colorways over the years, and even personally, I've owned a lot of pairs of Jordan 5s as well, but I just think from a wearability standpoint, between 1 to 5, it's probably the least wearable for me personally, and I've kind of figured out since I've been making this list, I'm not a big fan of lace locks. I just don't really know what to do with them, they're just kind of there. And the super tall tongue and that puffy ankle, I find it a little bit hard to wear. So for me, the Jordan 5 is a really nice shoe to look at. It's a really nice shoe to have on display, but it's not going to be one of my top choices when it comes to actually wearing a pair of Air Jordans. Moving on, we have the Air Jordan 12. So the Air Jordan 12 is so high up my list because this was actually the very first Air Jordan that I ever got. So I've told this story before, but my aunt's boyfriend or partner at the time, who she's still together with right now, he actually gave me his pair of the original Air Jordan 12 in the playoff colorway. So I undeadstocked these from my elementary school basketball tournament, and ever since then the Jordan 12 has always had that special place in my heart. I'll admit it's not the most iconic silhouette of all time, and though Jordan had his share of iconic moments wearing them, like for example the flu game, it's not usually one of those shoes that you see near the top of people's lists. However, I feel like the design itself is very clean, it's a very nice looking shoe, and really it's that nostalgia factor that really pushes that Jordan 12 up my list. So now we're at our top 5. So at number 5, I'm going to go with the Air Jordan 2. The Air Jordan 2, I gotta say, is probably the most underrated Air Jordan of them all. It's tough because when you're sandwiched between an Air Jordan 1 and an Air Jordan 3, it's not hard for you to get overlooked. But I've always appreciated the look of the Jordan 12. I love how there's not a lot of loud Nike branding or Jordan branding, and the fact that with this model they really tried to bridge the gap between sportswear and high fashion. So personally for me, I'm waiting for the Jordan 2 to get retroed, hopefully true to the OG look, hopefully with really nice materials. So fingers crossed we see a proper retro of the Jordan 2 sooner rather than later. So coming in at number 4, this was really tough. I think 4 and 3 are probably interchangeable, and I'm pretty sure my opinion on these has flip-flopped over the years, but as of right now, if you're asking me, number 4 goes to the Air Jordan 11. If you had asked me maybe 5-6 years ago, the Jordan 11 might have been my number 2 or number 3, and I'm sure a lot of you guys listening have the Jordan 11 in your top 5 at least. So when Michael Jordan returned from his brief hiatus from basketball, he would eventually go on to win his 4th NBA championship, along with an MVP, All-Star MVP, and a Finals MVP as well, all wearing the Air Jordan 11. And though I was too young to care when these originally released, I could see why the Jordan 11 was so impactful and so important for its time. Having that patent leather on the toe really was something we hadn't seen before, and it was almost like MJ was wearing dress shoes on a basketball court. It was just so ridiculous, but somehow Tinker Hatfield made it work, and some of my favorite Air Jordans of all time are the Air Jordan 11s, including the Concord 11s, the Black and Red 11s, and to a lesser extent, the Space Jams. So moving on, at number 3 on my list, we have the Air Jordan 4. The Air Jordan 4, it goes without saying, is one of the most iconic Air Jordans of all time. These released back in 1989, again designed by Tinker Hatfield, and it's just one of those shoes that over the years, they've released so many nice colorways, and it's been such a cultural icon too. I remember one of the first Air Jordans I bought other than the Jordan 21 was the Air Jordan 4 in the Mars Blackman colorway, and I remember when I was researching online upcoming Jordan releases, seeing the Jordan 4 for the first time, it really spoke to me. This was coming from like a pure, untainted viewpoint, if you will. I had no idea what was hyped, I had no idea what models were good, what was bad. So this is just a genuine reaction of me seeing the Fire Red 4 and thinking to myself, I need to have this shoe. I'll admit there was a point in time when the Jordan 4 retros weren't being done that well, but ever since Jordan Brand has remastered the Jordan 4s, I think they've done a really good job. And then with the recent releases being true to OG form like the Bread 4s, the White Cement 4s, the Fire Red 4s, all of those I feel like have been really well done, and they all get regular wear in my rotation. So coming in at number 2, I'm going to go with the Air Jordan 1. So this is the shoe, this is the one that started everything. The original signature shoe for Michael Jordan. It has stood the test of time, and now, over 30 years later, I don't think it's far-fetched for me to say that it's the most popular Air Jordan silhouette of all time. Going from that pinnacle basketball sneaker in 1985 to now being this icon in streetwear, I consider the Jordan 1 to be right up there with other models like the Converse Chuck Taylor, the Air Force 1, the Adidas Superstar, the Adidas Stan Smith, and even like the Nike Air Max 1, for example. I don't know what the future of the Jordan 1's going to be like, and I don't know if the hype on the Jordan 1's can sustain for the next few years, but we've been saying this for many years now, and I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon. For me, my favorite Jordan 1's are the OG colorways like the Chicago Jordan 1, the bread ones, the royal ones. There's been so many really nice colorways from the past, and even the modern day colors that they're dropping now. These are the new colorways we haven't seen before. Things like the shattered backboards, things like the obsidian UNC ones. The good thing about the Jordan 1 is that it's not hard to make a really nice looking shoe. So that's part of the reason why I'm skeptical that the Jordan 1 hype is eventually going to slow down. So that leaves me with number 1. And if you guys know me, you know that my favorite shoe of all time is the white cement 3. So that's why my favorite Air Jordan silhouette of all time is the Jordan 3. I just feel like it's the best design Jordan of them all. It gives me that perfect balance of having that more minimalistic feel with the retro vibes of the Jordan 1, but at the same time, it's not way too bulky and too performance oriented, for example, like a Jordan 5 or Jordan 6. And really, Michael Jordan did so much wearing the Jordan 3s. When we think of Air Jordan, we think of his incredible dunk contest performances, one of which happened when he was wearing the white cement 3s. And the other things I really appreciated were, for example, the introduction of elephant print, being the first Air Jordan that incorporated the Jumpman logo on the tongue, and of course having that exposed air bubble on the heel, which is something I've always loved growing up. And I don't know how much truth there is to this as well, but apparently the Air Jordan 3s are also MJ's favorite Air Jordans also. So all that combined, and just the fact that there's been so many really nice Jordan 3 colorways, the white cement 3s, the black cement 3s, we got the fire reds, the true blues, and then even more recent release colorways like the Dornbecker 3s, the UNC 3s, Fear 3s, that list goes on and on and on. So that wraps up my ranking of my favorite Air Jordans of all time from Air Jordan 1 to Air Jordan 23. Let me know what you guys agree with and what you disagree with. I love comparing lists like this. It's very cool to see how people's opinions differ. Everyone has their reasons for liking some shoe over the other, so let me know if you can. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, be sure to give me a rating, a review, leave that 5-star rating if you can. That really helps this podcast go a long way. So the Channel 8 podcast is available to be listened to through Spotify, iTunes, Podbean, and also on my website as well at seango.ca. You can check me out on YouTube for my reviews on youtube.com/SeanGo. You can see my pictures on Instagram at sgo8, and you can hear what I gotta say on Twitter at sean.go spelt out. So thank you guys so much for listening. This has been episode 5 of the Channel 8 podcast, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.